always present in our life. We
Yeah.
don't recognize it. Why we don't recognize it? That I covered last week. Temporary means for permanent solution, mind and intellect. I believe you might have contemplated and reflected. And if you have reflected, you might have been feeling lightness inside the head. Whether the temperature is 0 or 117, it doesn't make any difference. Because it is the mind that creates likes and dislikes, reaction. But the intellect knows, intellect chooses. Save yourself from the sun. Grace and the blessing. Ah, first thing to understand, they are given to us naturally. I went to my master and I asked him, kindly bless me. Master said, what the craziness this is. Do you ask blessing? Do you ask grace? How can you ask? So then he joked to me. Then he said, okay, whenever I find, then I will bless you. I'm not ready to bless you. So the message is clear that this blessing and the grace naturally falls on us if we are a seeker. And if we are a seeker, then we are searching a permanent solution by the principles of Eastern wisdom. And the best part to receive the grace and the blessing is to keep the intellect over the mind. If you do not keep the intellect over the mind, then forget about. Mind continues to complain, blame, tricks, bluffs. Mind says, let me have more to be happy. When you don't have anything, you are suffering. When you have more, you are suffering. So there comes the intellect. Anyhow, we do not ask, we ask specific things in terms of more. We don't want more husband, more wife, we want more money. Do you see that? There will be a big problem. And after all, we are not Bill Gates. So I'm reminding you again and again, you have more and still you are unhappy. So where is the problem? First grace and the blessing is that we are a human being and we are thinking like a human being. We do not get carried away by the instinct, habit, and impulses. I'm sure if we all are not carried away by the instinct, habit, and impulses, we already have a grace and blessing on us. Someone reacts, intellect says, calm down. This guy seems to be crazy. He may have some problem. Let me remain calm. Choice between mind and the intellect. Do I respect my nature who blessed me to be a human being? I don't have a choice. This is how the masters, they start giving us the principle. Think of it. Problem enters in my life as a human being, unwanted, uninvited, causes pain, grief, suffering, illnesses. But I'm a human being. I have an intellect. I can make a choice. What is the best that can be done? I think you all also have the same kind of rituals. I attended Helena's service here in New Jersey. My father died and then he died. Okay. Then, after 2 days of grief, we started preparing for a big party. We invited 200 people, we served the meal so that he will go to heaven. Whether he is in heaven or not, we don't know. But you see, you change the direction. It is not with the animals. We have the self awareness. If the intellect is working, we work with this self awareness. That is the greatest blessing and the grace. Because of that self awareness, I can separate the world outside from myself. You see, do you know that the dog, when the dog sees the world, they sees the world in a black and white. They don't see the world in colors. We are human beings. You see, is it not a natural blessing and the grace? But still we say, no, I have lot of problem. What problem? We can solve the problem through this self-awareness. Now understand this a little deeper. The world outside, one thing. You are a world to me. I am a world to you. That is the first thing. People, place, objects, events, things, house, etc., etc. Right? First thing. Understand the three levels. Once you understand, ah, you will see every time the blessing and the grace is showering on me. First is the word here and now. Now I experience this word inside my mind. Did you understand that? Two things. I experience John inside my mind, inside me, inside the mind. I experience me and you, and also my image in my mind. Do you see that? Do you see that? World outside is experienced in the mind inside me. Right? I take the outer world inside me. Am I clear? What is the third one? Can you guess? Ask yourself, who is the third one? Who knows both the world outside and the experiences in the mind? Who is that fellow? No animals, from mosquito, from amoeba to elephant, can ever have that level of self awareness. We have it. Now, out of the joke, and for example, if the John is angry, let the Sophie says, okay, be outside. Don't come to my mind. Intellect. I have a blessing and grace. Not possible with any animal, any living species. It's a great blessing and a grace. We don't realize this. Why we don't realize? The mind is working on us. Mind is working on us. We mess up our life. This is what masters are saying, that all the principles are within all of us. I am just a pointer. I'm just giving you a hint. And the third grace, intellect versus the mind. Our intellect gives us a choice to become free by separating the outer event from inside. Not possible. This is one of the most beautiful things about the human being. So once we have understood, now see the fourth grace that and the blessing that is always available to all of us. We don't want to use because we are more intelligent. How we are more intelligent? You are responsible for my sorrow and suffering. You see our intelligence? No one no one outside is responsible for my sorrow and suffering. This is what the Eastern wisdom says. Every master says it clearly. Do you know what do you mean by pagal? Pagal? No. There's a Hindi word. You don't know the meaning. So if I say you pagal, and with a smile on my face, you will also say, oh, something good is there. So what happened? Your mind has given interpretation. That is how we feel and experience the world outside. We know the world crazy. So if someone says you are crazy, we give interpretation inside the mind, and then I feel bad. Are you getting it? And this comes from the mind. The, tell me, is the world crazy hits you, the body, at any point? Does any word hits you? No, it doesn't hit you anywhere. It hits my mind because of my interpretation. If I start teaching with with a big face, say, okay, he's already living in stress and he's talking of the peace and your interpretation. So here the master says we use the word sattvic attitude. Does the intellect and the mind has a sattvic attitude? What is this attitude? This attitude constantly lives with what is right and good. I love you all. Will you continue my sessions for 10 years? What the heck? This is not sattvic attitude. People will come and go. People will like and dislike. That is the nature. Do you see that? So, fourth blessing and grace is that my intellect lives with what is right and good all the time, and it prevents the mind to go to what I like and what is pleasant to me. We'll talk in detail about how the mind is caught in three levels of pleasures that we don't get all the time, that causes grief, suffering, pain, reaction, anxiety, depression, duality, conflict, etc. Fourth grace, sattvic attitude. What is sattvic attitude? Two things, knowledge and cheerfulness, knowledge and happiness. So intellect constantly lives in that. How? By pushing the mind, don't go for what I like and what is pleasant. Let me find out what is right and good. You live into that, what is right and good. So even if you hate me, react to me, but the intellect says, let me find out what is right and good. What this beer guy is saying, let me accept that and leave the rest. What will happen in your relationship? Think of it. Are you getting it? Today is Mead birthday, so we are talking of grace and blessing. So it is all through the self awareness. If I start living into that state, there will always be a grace and blessing. So we have the four blessing and the grace. Where is the fifth one? So master says, now did you understand what I am saying? My master used to say. So do you understand that you have a real self behind the body and mind? Yes, master. So is the real self self-existent, permanent happiness, love, wisdom, and the truth? Yes, master. So why you have a big face? Do you think that when I say you real self, is it different from you? Tell me. No, no, it is not. You are saying that it is my nature. So where is the problem? So once my intellect holds on that my true nature is permanent peace and happiness, then only I will treat the path continuously, regularly until I discover my true nature. And if I am following the path, then my practice will be 24 by 7. When I wake up, I will work only for the real self. I will build a relationship only based on the real self. I will talk, communicate, speak, think only for the sake of real self. So that process, that blessing and grace is known as that my intellect knows, did I fall? Let me rise again. It doesn't happen even to the lion, to the elephant. Do you see that? When I told you that I lived with my master 26 years, steadfastness on the path. Internally, you do whatever you are doing outside. Continue to do it. That is the fifth grace. Your intellect challenges the mind. Come on. What you like and dislike will create a problem. Let me see what is right and good, and let me think and speak and act with what is right and good. You start thinking like this. I can tell you that within a week, everything changes. Your perception of the world changes. Otherwise, what happens? The mind is constantly digging you. What John told me last year. Mind. Intellect gives a break. No, just an example. Grace and the blessing comes naturally. It is not asked for. You do not you have no right to ask. You create an environment inside your head and the heart to allow the grace and the blessing to follow. Don't put any condition. Okay, I will do as you told me. Will I get $1 million? You have already put a condition. So the grace and blessing is what? Self awareness. Will there be a grace and blessing? I have chosen a girl who hates me. I want to marry her. I will do whatever you say. What is working? Mind. Attachment. I'm giving a too far examples that you can apply in your relationship with your near and dear. That is how the mind cheats us. Do you see that? Then another part that is most wonderful, great blessing in the grace, that I can study myself, I can know myself, I can recognize my feeling. I can check whether this feeling is right or wrong, whether it has been created by the wrong notion or the false notion. Do you see that? Are we a human being? My master used to say, refuse to be miserable. No miseries in your life. How can the misery can come? It is the greatest blessing and a grace for us. So this is what the Eastern wisdom says. You study Eastern wisdom to study yourself. It's a common example. A rancher in the farm found a stone, useless. His friend was a diamond merchant. He said, I found this stone. "Oh, you are working with the stone. Oh, no, this stone cost $1 million. What? Look at the nature of perception. The farmer, rancher says, it's only a stone. He is more concerned about his produce. So when I keep my eyes, means my heart open all the time. How I keep the heart open? Check mind and intellect in the last session, how the mind works and how the mind should work. How should I work on the mind rather than my mind is working on me? And then comes the bliss, grace, and the blessing. And once this grace and the blessings, we live into that. What is happening? I wake up in the morning, mind or intellect? Only intellect. Relationship, intellect. Business, intellect. I observe, I make a choice, then I think, then I speak, and then I act. You live even for 12 hours one day. You think before you act. So, what happens? You see that? What I told you, the world outside. And experiences are happening in my mind. Who the hell inside me recognizes both? Is it ego? Dictated by the mind, you will continue to suffer. Is it intellect? You are on the right path of Eastern wisdom. Three things, you can say three things in the world. First is the world outside, and every that word enters into my mind gives me an experience. So, who is the experiencer? Are you getting it? Three things. Who is the experiencer? If the experiencer is the animal mind, then we know the result. And it is within me. I didn't understand. And if it is the intellect, first I have to clean this mind to treat the path to succeed in meditation, and that leads to awakening. We can awaken to true nature. Another blessing and the grace. Not any living species on this existence. I'm not teaching you any religion, cult, dogma, belief. No. We are understanding everything logically, rationally. I'm not giving you any idea of a hell and heaven. I will take you to heaven because heaven does not exist. It depends on your blind faith. So we don't have any blind faith in the Eastern wisdom. Clarity, we have 100% clarity. And that helps us to enter into uh, discover our real nature. Awakening is possible for us. It is not possible for any living being on this earth. I told you before. No, if I get $1 million, I will be happy. Tell me how many people who are millionaires are happy. You see, our masters gives us an understanding, gives us an idea that can you think in this way? So what happens next time if we are fairly, even if we have average intellect? So the intellect says, yes, it is true that there are thousands of millionaires who are not happy. So am I going into the wrong direction? Yes. I must plan and organize to earn $1 million, but I should not seek happiness in that $1 million. This is the wisdom. Are you getting it? No, I've been single for so many days, and introduced me to another beautiful woman a couple of months before. And she said, I'm lonely and will recognize. I'm not telling you the name. I'm lonely. So I gave couple of sessions. I redirected my sessions. Okay. No, no, but what about my loneliness? So your lonely mind is expecting something from outside. When you are alone, you discover what is it means by alone, all one. The mind has stopped expectations. It doesn't mean that you don't enter into relationship. That is secondary. But now you have a clarity. What is that clarity? If I'm single, tell me how many married people are happy. Well, I have to, if I don't apply my thought, how can I clear my wrong notions? Now, if I live in Princeton, I'll be happy. How many people living in Princeton are happy? So I stopped thinking. Why I stopped thinking? Because mind has a strong likes and dislikes. I will marry Miss Universe, I'll be happy. How many are? Ask yourself. I have to put the question. I do not stop the intellect. I do not allow the mind to take over the intellect. I ask, intellect, tell me, tell me, tell me. And this telling me removes the false notion from your mind. Are you getting it? It removes the false notion from your mind. That is the biggest blessing and the grace we all have all the time. All the time. It is working on us. It is ready to enter within us, provided we are open. If we are not open, it will not enter. It will not enter. Another way to pick up this clarity, I have unfavorable circumstances. Mind is working behind because of the past impression. I react. Mind is working behind. I have an anxiety. Mind is working behind. It has taken over you. Allow the intellect to work. Mind, what is anxiety? Let me see. Let me understand it. Can I give you one example? Note down, put into agenda, calendar, that you have to be angry tomorrow at 10 a.m. and see what happens. Wait for 10 a.m. You are waiting for 10 a.m. You are aware. There is a self awareness. And this awareness of the self will never allow you to be angry, especially at 10 a.m. Do you see the point? What a beautiful principle. So, when hesitation reaction comes, honey, I will become angry over you after 5 minutes. Wait, wait. Tell yourself, tell yourself. Allow the 5 minutes to pass. You maintain that awareness. You lose awareness, you become angry. You enter into anxiety. You enter into grief. That we will take up slowly. There are primary surface problems of anxiety, deeper problems of fear of death, insecurities, and then comes the grief. Can you all smile? You have done it. Can you become angry now? Now, what the mind gives you the reason? Mind says, give me the reason, then I will become angry. Okay, tell me what reason I should give you. Still, you will not. No, no, come on. I know you are my teacher. You don't mean that. Blessing and the grace. That is the beauty of the human being, my friends. That is the beauty. Let us start our practice today based on what we discussed.